when nobody affirms you, you have to affirm yourself, yeah? Or does anybody here ever feel unaffirmed? Yeah, we feel that way from time to time, but that's just plain foolishness when you actually hear the real story. This self-affirmation is getting more and more popular. People like to talk about it. They like to gab about it on the internet, and people are making money because you click on their site and read their advertisements, and then they tell you a little bit about self-affirmation. And according to the rules and regulations of the material world, what they're saying may be somewhat true. There's truth to it. The problem is they don't know the real world. They don't know the real scheme of things. So their information cannot be 100% accurate because they don't know the nature of this self that you're trying to affirm. How can you affirm a self that you're not familiar with? Now you may be thinking, what's he talking about? I'm familiar with myself. But no, you keep changing. As time goes by, you're going to change so many things about your self, the way what you show the world, how you introduce yourself to the world, the persona that you want the world to see of you. And you want to affirm this self, which you're pretty much just pulling out of your sleeve. You're making it up. There was a thing going on. It may still be a thing, but I'm not up on everything. I'm not as cool as you guys. So there was I guess it's been a few years now, called rebranding. You've heard of that? Mm-hmm. I read about that and I thought, what are they talking about? I want to rebrand myself. So in other words, I've got this me, and at least on my Facebook page and my social media, I want to put a new me out there. So that means I might have to change my do. Maybe buy some new jewelry, whatever. I have to do so many things. Wear different clothing, hang out with new people, come up with different catchphrases, because I want you to see a different me than I was just a little while ago. Well, does this really make sense? This doesn't make any sense at all if we know something about the teachings of the Vedas, because you, the real self, are unchangeable. There is no change to you. However, your consciousness, when it comes in contact with the material energy, takes on some new identity depending on the type of body you have. The type of body you have governs what senses you have, what sense objects your senses are attracted to. So, have we experienced this? Most of us have. We've had a complete change in this lifetime, many of us. I would say, show of hands if you want to, I would say most people in this room at one time, I'm going to assume most of you are non-carnivorous. Most of you are vegan or vegetarian. Do you think that's true? So of those who are saying ya, or as they say in Russia, da, da. So at one time, were you a meat eater? Did you eat meat at one time? And it was very attractive, wasn't it? Think back. Yeah, one time you thought, wow, this is great, man. I can't wait to have the Thanksgiving turkey or the Christmas ham or steak or whatever. You found it very attractive. So you had a particular nose and a particular taste, particular set of senses that attracted you to this particular type of food. But now, without even changing this body, you've got a different attraction, don't you? Most of you, I would say most of us that have made the change from carnivore to herbivore, there's no going back, is there? And you think of it, somebody put a beautiful Christmas turkey in front of you, or no, it's a Thanksgiving turkey, Christmas ham, right? You'd go, you. But at one time you would have said, yummy, I'm hungry. What happened? You adjusted your consciousness. You started to see things in a more realistic way. And so you changed. You actually changed your sense objects in so many ways. Your senses changed because your consciousness changed. So here we are, thinking that we are these bodies, which we are not. We're not these bodies. And I'm thinking that this body is me, this is myself. And, I don't feel so comfortable with myself. I don't think this guy gives me enough affirmation, So I need to affirm myself. Is this sounding silly to you yet? Huh? Well, it should after a while when you hear what Krishna has to say about you, the self that you're trying to affirm. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this self-affirmation. Self-affirmation is a psychological strategy where individuals remind themselves of their values, strengths, and abilities. Do we do that? No, nobody. 2 people do. Where did you get this crowd? I thought with you coming back, we'd get the good ones, All the time you were gone, we said, when Dominic gets back, we'll get the good people. No, you're good. I'm just picking on you. Huh?
Give us another chance.
I forgot the question. What did I ask? What did I ask? I don't remember.
How many people do self-affirmation?
How many people have tried to self-affirm? Yeah. All right. I got a little bit more. The rest of them, they don't care. I'll give you an affirmation right here. It's a form of positive self-talk that can help individuals maintain their self-integrity, and especially when they face threats due to their self-concept. Self-concept, how you see yourself. Personal accountability is the willingness to answer for the outcomes of your choices, actions, and behaviors. What is that called? That would be karma, yeah? So in other words, you've made some real psychological advancement if you're willing to accept the results of your actions and thoughts, right? How much truth do you think you have to whether you accept your karma or not? Don't they say what goes around comes around? Do you get the chance of saying, well, I'm going to take this karma, but I'm not going to take that karma. I'm going to waive that one. Do we get to do that? Maybe you guys do. I'm the only one that does it. I need to figure out how they avoid that. So no, so in other words, you're willing to accept your karma. Wow. We'll give you some points that you're willing. You're going to have to accept karma whether you're willing or not. It's about owning what's happening in your life, acknowledging your role, and taking responsibility for the results. This is all sounding very interesting, isn't it? Self-affirmation can be a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation. It can help us challenge and overcome self-doubt. and negative self-talk, often the biggest obstacles to personal growth. I agree with that. Okay. But if you knew something about this self that you are, and you have been for eternity, and you will be for eternity, the unchangeable soul, if you had more knowledge about yourself, you would see that you don't really need affirmation if you get to know yourself. You are an eternal living entity. Your body is not eternal. So that'll tell you right there, you're not your body. But Krishna explains this very, very clearly in Bhagavad Gita. How many here do not have a Bhagavad Gita? No hidden charge. Come on. I'm going to give you a Bhagavad Gita if you'll cooperate with me. You got to hold your hand. There's one there. Uno, dos, tres. Cuadros. Wow. So we got 4. Yeah. We'll pause for a word from our sponsor, Bhagavad Gita, as it is and will be. So in this book that Sureshwar Prabhu is handing out free of charge, if you read this book, it'll answer every question that you could possibly ask. Every question about you, especially. And who is God? And what is your relationship with God? True answers. This is stuff you need to know. So the basic process of affirmation is given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And I'm going to read one of my favorite verses. I read this verse practically every day because I need to remind me of this. Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 7th verse. Krishna says, the living entities in this conditioned material world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. All right, so what if Krishna's shooting a straight? What if he's telling you the truth? What if you really are a part and parcel of God? Do you think you, the self, the real you, needs affirmation? Does God need affirmation? It's not rhetorical, man. Where did you get this? Well, at least you're not on your phone. Does God need to be affirmed? No. Why, he's perfect, isn't he? He has no faults. And you are a part and parcel of that supreme entity who is perfect and has no faults, right? If you believe the scriptures. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to say sometimes it's helpful to affirm, I know I do, that I'm not this body, I'm part and parcel of Krishna. Those are the affirmations
That's the affirmation that we're talking about. On the spiritual, in spiritual consciousness, this is self-affirmation, to identify what you truly are. You're part and parcel of the Supreme Godhead. You have a question?
Hey, brother, I just had a question. Do you kind of mean like you can't bless what's already blessed? Why do we normally try to be blessed?
Why do we what?
Why do we try to be blessed? You know what I mean? If you can't bless what's already.
Well, that's kind of a special kind of question. Why don't we save that for the end or maybe even afterwards? Because in my weak old mind, that's kind of off the subject.
Sorry.
You know, so let me make my point and then we'll go off the subject if we need to. So if you're, huh?
I got a question.
Oh, let's take Omar's question.
So if Krishna is perfect and we're part of Krishna, then that seems to taught that we're all so perfect? Why does it seem that way?
You betcha. Krishna's perfect. 20, Krishna is like 24 karat gold. And you're like a little teeny piece of that big, unlimited hunk of 24 karat gold. So what carat does that make you? 24 karat, right? God is 24 karat. You're a part and parcel of him. You're 24 karat. The difference is when you come in contact with the material energy, in other words, when you, the soul, entered this material world, you came under the influence of the material energy, the illusion. You started to believe that you are this body. You're convinced. So therefore, I see all the weaknesses that a 76-year-old man has. Well, I'm this, I'm that, I'm so weak, So I'm misidentifying. I can't even see the true me because I'm thinking I am this body. Well, if you think that you are this body, that's enough to give you a lot of distress. If you are this body, you're going to die someday. But I'm the owner of the body. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. I'm eternal. I'll leave this body someday. And it's not going to be a big deal because this thing's almost worn out. You see? And it's getting worse every day. So my consciousness gets affected. So I don't need to reaffirm my consciousness, which is wrong. I'm not this body. This material world is not my home. I do not belong here. You see? The affirmation that I need to remind myself of, as Kirtaneshwar Gauranga was saying, is that I am part and parcel of Krishna. I am. And I always have been, and I always will be. There's nothing I can do to change that. I can allow the material energy to trick me and convince me that I'm something else. But I'm choosing not to do that anymore. I'm reading Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna is helping me along. I'm starting to understand things. Is that a good answer? Good question. Omar always has fabulous questions. Not that your questions are not. You got to be careful. You don't want to hurt feelings. So, Prabhupada says here in the purport, in this verse, the identity of the living being is clearly given. The living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, eternally. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditional life, and in his liberated state becomes one with the Supreme Lord. He is eternally fragmented. That means, a lot of times when I point this out, I like this part where Prabhupada points this out. When I point this out, some people will go, wow, that's a relief to hear. You're telling me that I am an eternal, fragmental part of the Supreme? Because some people have heard philosophies that at some point, you, the living entity, are going to be like sucked in and merged with the Supreme. Has anybody heard that? Why am I asking there? No, we've heard that, haven't we? Who wants to do that? I don't want to be merged with anybody. Do you? None of us really want this. You're just told this is the way it is. And again, because you don't know the absolute truth, you fall for it. Just like you are your body. You fell for that one, didn't you? Just like the Christmas turkey and Thanksgiving ham or something like that. No, that's mixed. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You fell for it, didn't you? Well, we're not going to fall for it anymore. So we've got to get out of this misconception of who and what you are. If you can think on the transcendental platform, meaning that transcends the material consciousness or the material knowledge. If you can think on the platform of the absolute truth, then you can get all the truthful answers that you need to go forward. What you need to do is to remind yourself, to affirm yourself, that I am part and parcel of my dear Lord Krishna. I have the same qualities that he has. I don't have the quantity that he has. And I don't have to worry about being sucked into his personality like a black hole. Have you heard about these black holes? Nobody's heard of them? Okay. I'm just kidding. I like to pick on people. The black hole sucks everything in. So where some people, when they hear that, they think, oh my God, is that the truth? Is it at the end? I'm just going to be like sucked into God? I'll be merged? What does that mean for me? What will I be? Now, some people think, well, then I'll become God. If God kind of merges me in with him, then I become him, right? Listen, if I'm merged into God, then I'm going to take over and I'm going to be God? That doesn't make any sense, does it? So if we understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all of the Vedas, they will teach you, you don't have to worry about losing your identity. Your only concern should be about finding your true identity. If I'm an eternal living entity, what am I like eternally? I'm in this illusory situation, believing that I'm this body and that I'm part of this material world, but that's an illusion. What's the truth? What am I really? Some people feel that, well, I don't have any form whatsoever. God has no form. I have no form. We're just all formless. Well, if you have no form and God has no form, what kind of a relationship do you think you're going to have? It's probably not going to be very loving, right? That means you're never going to hold his hand. If he's formless and you're formless, that doesn't sound very good, does it? If he's the all attractive, and he is, and you're part and parcel, that makes you pretty attractive too. So you have two superiorly attractive living entities, one of them the supreme entity, and you holding hands in love. Now that sounds more attractive than this undefined, unimaginable merging kind of thing, doesn't it? So the merge thing doesn't really work. You can easily defeat that. And we can talk later about that if you like. You can come over to the table out there and we'll talk about how you don't have to worry about that. It's much more attractive to approach the truth. And the truth is that you're unchangeable. You're just suffering some, let's call it a psychological setback, because you've identified with this material world and this material body. So now we have to get out. Let's get out of this illusory consciousness and regain our lost identity. Now, to do that, you can pray to Krishna. There's a really nice prayer that you can pray to Krishna to ask for understanding. And that prayer is like this: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You pray like that, and you're asking to rediscover your true self, because that prayer is begging Krishna, please give me some loving devotional service. Please give me something that I can do for you, to please you. That is yourself. That's what you do. You are a servant. You're a servant of the Supreme and a servant of all of his other parts and parcels. That's your nature. That is yourself. Now, there is a unique personality that you have that Krishna sees in you that nobody else has. And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of curious to see what is that personality that I have that Krishna finds so attractive. What is it like? What is the real me like? If you can find the real you, do you think you need affirmation? You only need affirmation if you're going to stay stuck in the material consciousness. And you're going to start thinking that you have all these faults that you need to overcome. You are a perfect living entity. You have no faults. The only fault is your consciousness is clouded. You're thinking you're something that you're not. Find out what you are, and you'll feel affirmed. You'll be able to affirm others. You'll become it. Once you know the truth about yourself, then you're empowered to teach others the truth about themselves. Now that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So, I guess I've got time for maybe one or two questions. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Omar.
So how do we get to know our personality?
It's like, I remember one time I asked a very successful person in business, because I wanted to be successful. So I asked, how do we become successful? And his answer was, do the things that successful people do. So behave as if you are part and parcel of the supreme, loving, beautiful, living entity, God. Behave as if you are that. Reject thoughts that may make you feel like you just might be your body. You're going to reject that. It's not true. So you have to behave in such a way that it reminds you that you are this eternal part and parcel of God. We have to behave that way. It's a behavioral health issue that we're struggling with here. We're behaving like someone that we're not. And that's never going to be comfortable for us. Even if I could rebrand myself and make everybody believe I'm somebody different now, would that really give me satisfaction? What are you going to snicker, and think, they're thinking I'm this, but I'm really not. That's not going to make you happy. Happiness is realizing that you are enough. You're enough for Krishna. Krishna finds you all attractive. He thinks you're wonderful. Why, you're his beautiful part and parcel. Isn't that enough for you? I mean, maybe it's not, but if it is, it really ought to be. Does that answer your question?
I'm wondering also, what's the behavior of the part and parcel?
We behave like Krishna. Krishna is all loving. Krishna is, he's the source of beauty. If you're a part and parcel of the source of beauty, that makes you, the soul, very beautiful. Krishna's full of knowledge. I should be full of knowledge. I'm part of and parcel of him. I'm not talking about material knowledge. I'm talking about real, eternal knowledge. You see? Anything else? So you're part and parcel of the Supreme. He is 24 karat gold. And you are I'm sorry? I'm 24 karat.
I'm 24 karat.
Yeah, there you go. Remember that. Behave like you're 24 karat. Don't behave like you're aluminum. No offense to aluminum. That's my birthstone. No offense. You have to be careful. People will get offended very easily now, so you have to be careful. Hope there are no aluminum fans here. No, I'd rather be gold than aluminum, wouldn't you? So behave like that. It's in your behavior. Behave like you're a part and parcel of God. Eternally, constantly connected. 24/7, 365. You are connected to God. He never loses sight of you. It's just us that lose sight of him from time to time. So let's get our consciousness back. Let's chant this Hare Krishna, and let's associate as much as we can with others who are trying to regain their lost identity. Can we do that?
Yes.
Will we do that?
Yes.
Are you 24 karat?
Yes.
Jai, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.